The forest of Eldora was a cathedral of towering trees whose leaves shimmered in shades of emerald and silver. Mist lingered in the underbrush, softening the edges of reality and giving the woods a timeless, almost sacred feel. For years, Caleb Thorne had called this place home. Alone. He had arrived by accident, or so he thought, after a failed expedition on the planet Evren. His ship had crashed on the forest's edge, leaving him stranded and forced to survive using the land's resources. Time blurred in the solitude. He hunted, built shelter, tended a small garden, and learned to read the forest's subtle rhythms. He had convinced himself that isolation was his punishment and, eventually, his peace. Yet, something always fell off. Twigs snapped when no creature approached. Shadows moved against the light in ways no wind could explain. He chalked it up to paranoia, the mind's trick when given years of solitude. One evening, as the sun dipped behind Eldora's crystalline canopy, Caleb noticed something entirely different. A figure, a woman, stood at the edge of the clearing. At first, he thought it was a trick of the fading light, but the figure remained, impossibly still. Her skin glowed faintly, like the moon reflecting on water, and her eyes, large, violet, and luminescent, were fixed on him. Caleb froze. Who are you?" he demanded, though his voice felt absurdly loud in the silent forest. She took a cautious step forward, hands raised slightly to show she meant no harm. "Do not be afraid," she said, her voice musical, yet tinged with caution. "I have watched you, only to learn, not to harm." He blinked. Years alone had dulled his understanding of conversation with another human, let alone an alien. "Watched me? For how long?" "For years," she admitted. "You adapted well. I wanted to see if you could survive in a place humans were not meant to thrive." Caleb's heart pounded. He had believed he was alone, the sole inhabitant of this forest. And now he discovered that someone or something had observed him all along. Her name was Larissa, and she belonged to a species native to Eldora. The Eldori had the ability to blend into their environment, altering the subtle bioluminescence of their skin to disappear from view. Most humans never knew of their presence, and few survived long enough to encounter them. Larissa had been curious about Caleb, watching him adapt and endure in ways even her people found remarkable. "You are resilient," she said, stepping closer. "Most humans perish within months. You have lived years." Caleb swallowed, still wary. "Why watch me? Why not intervene?" "Because intervention changes everything," she replied. "I wanted to see what a human alone could learn, what choices he would make when left entirely to his own devices." Her gaze softened, studying him with the intensity of someone trying to understand the very essence of another life. "And you, Caleb Thorne, have proven remarkable." Days turned into weeks as Larissa slowly revealed herself to him. She was cautious, careful not to overwhelm him with her alien presence. At first, he resisted companionship. Trust was difficult after years of solitude, but he could not deny the relief, even joy, in her presence. She could read the forest in ways he never could. She knew where food grew, which plants healed wounds, and how to avoid hidden dangers that had claimed many travelers before him. He, in turn, taught her about human ingenuity, how he had adapted tools from remnants of his crashed ship, crafted shelters that withstood Eldora's storms, and cultivated crops in soil thought unsuitable for human life. They shared knowledge in silence and conversation, learning from each other. It was during one of these silent walks that Caleb noticed something he hadn't expected. She was beautiful, not just in form, but in presence. Her movements were fluid, graceful, and her expression carried a mixture of curiosity, intelligence, and something indefinable, something that stirred feelings Caleb thought had died in him during his isolation. One night, under Eldra's twin moons, Caleb built a small fire. Larissa hovered at the edge of its glow, her skin shimmering softly. He offered her a place near the warmth. She accepted, settling beside him. "I've been alone for so long," Caleb admitted quietly, "that I forgot what it felt like to share a moment with anyone." Larissa's eyes softened. "And yet you have endured. Humans are stronger than they know, even when isolated. But endurance is not the same as understanding, nor is it companionship." Caleb realized then how lonely he had truly been. I want to understand," he said. "Not just survive, but live with you if you allow it." Larissa studied him, her luminous eyes reflecting the firelight. Slowly, she reached out her hand. "Then take it. Trust what you cannot yet fully see." Their hands met, and in that simple touch, years of solitude, fear, and wonder converged. Caleb felt a connection unlike anything he had known. It was grounding, electrifying, and profoundly human, even across species. The days that followed were a dance of discovery. Larissa guided him through hidden valleys, taught him the songs of Eldra's nocturnal creatures, and showed him ancient ruins where her ancestors had harnessed the planet's bioluminescent energy. Caleb, in return, shared human stories of Earth, of cities, of humanity's struggles and triumphs. They built a life together in the forest, blending survival with trust, curiosity, and companionship. But not all was serene. The forest was alive in ways both beautiful and dangerous. Predators, storms, and shifting terrain tested their unity. One evening, a massive Eldra storm struck, uprooting trees and flooding their shelter. Together, they navigated the chaos, using both human ingenuity and elderly skill. In those moments, trust became instinct. One moved, the other followed seamlessly, their bond cemented through shared survival. Months passed. Caleb no longer saw Larissa as a mysterious observer, but as an equal, a partner, and eventually, something deeper. The realization came quietly, in the warmth of shared meals, in the ease of silent walks, in the comfort of a hand held without words. Larissa, too, had grown attached, her initial caution replaced with a willingness to share her life fully. One evening, as they watched the sun set over the forest canopy, Caleb turned to her. "I believed I was alone for so long. I thought solitude was all I had left." She smiled, luminous against the dying light. "And yet, you were never truly alone. I was here always, and now we are together." He squeezed her hand gently. "Then let's make sure we never feel alone again." Years passed, and the forest became their sanctuary, a place of learning, love, and mutual respect. The humans who occasionally arrived in search of research or exploration found not just an alien woman and a human, but a pair who had bridged worlds, species, and the vast chasm of isolation. Their story became a whispered legend among explorers, a human, surviving years alone, saved by patience, curiosity, and trust, and the alien who had watched, guided, and ultimately shared her life with him. In the quiet moments, when the forest held its breath and the bioluminescent flora glowed softly, Caleb and Larissa would sit side by side, hands entwined, hearts aligned. The solitude that had once defined him was gone, replaced by a connection that transcended species, language, and time.